very good morning to everyone. I'm Joe, Head of Commercial for Innov8tif, a company that specializes on eKYC technologies. Today, I would like to share with you about identity proofing, especially in the digital onboarding process of your customers. At the end of this session, I hope you have a better idea on how to implement these technologies and the strategies for implementation. Let us start by looking at a few trends in today's digital onboarding journeys. The current pandemic has shown us that going digital is inevitable and remote customer engagement is no longer an option, but a necessity. Today, more so than ever, capturing customers online is not a simple task. There has been so many options for similar products and services that your customers can choose from. To convince your customers that you have the best option for them, apart from just having great features in your app, you also need to ensure you have a seamless process to onboard them securely. Any process that takes too many steps or considerable amount of time will deter a possible sign-up to use your services. To ensure that you have onboarded the right customer, you will need to integrate with known and reliable information sources as a form of validation on the information that they have shared with you. By using eKYC technologies, biometric and document verification provides the ability to determine the authenticity of your potential online customer. By building an online profile of your customers, leveraging on any existing connections, you will be able to develop a better engagement and communication plan with your customers. Battling fraud has always been a concern as it affects the profitability of your business and also affects your users. According to PwC, fraud cost companies over 42 billion in the last 2 years. During the pandemic, fraud attacks have also increased by more than twice. A total of 1.1 billion online fraud attacks were detected just last year. As an average, actually, there is a 25% chance your online transaction may be subjected to some form of a fraud attack. Some of the most common fraud cases happen during the sign up of a new account or attempting to log in as another user and transactions that involve something of value like transferring money. These are some of the reasons why these attacks happen. Today, global COVID crisis happens where hackers take the opportunity during this chaotic moment to commit more fraud. Hopefully, they can go undetected. There's an e-commerce uptake during these periods of lockdown, shifting all the commerce online. Marketplace platforms have also grown from social commerce, dating apps, food delivery, alternative transportations, finance, investment, and etc. Payments moving online, we've seen that. There's also an increase in digital services, especially banking-related stuff. Due to all this, there is also an increase in sophistication of attacks and scams, which actually uses personalizable identifiable information, or PII for short. So these scams look so real that because they know so much about us. And today, all the technology enhancements where all these technologies was used to deter all these attacks has now begun to be circumvented. Having said that, companies will still have to embark on journeys to digitize their businesses, and in this case, managing the risk of fraud becomes key. In various researches conducted, the growth of RegTech adoption will grow by 290% between now and 2025, according to Juniper Research. There will also be 329 million new bank accounts opened via digital onboarding and will save us 463 million by using technologies which is based on AI. Gartner also predicts that 80% of companies will be using some form of eKYC technologies as part of their onboarding process from what it is, say, maybe 30% today. Let us look at some of the key business risks when it comes to online customer onboarding. Every business hopes to get a genuine customer who will buy from them continuously if possible. A fraudulent identity, on the other hand, normally has a malicious intent. to benefit from you and all your users illegally, right? This will result in a spike in business costs due to the remedies that needed to contain the fraud situation, resulting in financial losses. And often than not, it is also sometimes a regulatory breach in compliance, which will also have higher implications. These are the types of online identity fraud that can be categorized with a document fraud, where a document is tampered by replacing parts of the document with the identity of a spoofing party. Well, fake documents are actually replicas of the real thing. And information tampering actually relates to the changing of the information data on the document itself. And when it comes to identity fraud, we have impersonation, either via digital means or physical means using masks, or fake images stolen online or real to life, and which mimics the actual person himself. And in terms of technical fraud, we are seeing stealing access to accounts and conducting unauthorized transactions, or exploiting loopholes in an app, for fraud. Let me take you through a journey on how online manual verification can be done. Okay? I'm using the Malaysian identity card. Let us look at the 3 samples that's on the screen here, right? Now, which of these Malaysian ID document is genuine at the point of submission, right? The devil is actually in the details itself. We can start by looking at the finer details, right? In this case here, we'll see that there will be microprints that is printed on the card itself. These are all the fine text that can be found on the card. Okay? The clarity of this microprint will be a determinant factor. In this case, sample 1 and sample 3 seems to be sharp and clear compared to sample 2. Next, we'll evaluate the quality of the printed information on the card. Typical prints are done on high quality printers, which will result in very sharp prints. And if you compare the samples, sample 1 seems to have blurred edges, indicating the possibility of an inkjet printing. The remaining 2 samples seems fine as per original. So based on the process of elimination, sample 3 seems to be the acceptable as a genuine submission. But by just going through a visual inspection, you would think that, hey, sample 2 seems to be quite authentic according to the acceptable colors characteristics. Why so that it is not considered as an original? So when we inspect the image further by enlarging it, we will find a common pattern which overlays the entire image. This is actually known as a Moya effect, which often happens when the image is taken from a screen. Therefore, the card seems genuine, but it is not actually captured from an actual physical ID document at a point of submission. So after you have verified the submitted document, the next step is to, the ID. The next step is to match a live face to the applicant with the photo of a submitted document. This is done to recognize the rightful owner of that identity document. The challenge is actually to detect lookalikes and also older photos of the genuine person, right? So in order to perform these manual verifications of facial images, it actually requires someone who's experienced in doing this type of tasks. So manual verification or human eyeballing is a slow and cumbersome process, as well as challenging and costly to execute on a large scale basis. Most of the time, it doesn't happen in real time, as implementing it will give your users quite a bad experience in waiting. It can also be prone to inconsistent results because it depends on the person who is actually performing the task itself. More so if you are dealing with many types of possible documents. Just imagine the kind of team you need in order to process all the possible combinations. So the aim of digital onboarding technologies is to bridge the manual verifications and replace them with automated processes, often based on AI technologies. Such technologies also have the ability to extract the information from the documents accurately. apart from just extracting information, it can also validate the security features on a document. It can also check to ensure that all the landmarks in the document are located as per the original. There's anti-fraud capabilities, looking at features that's normally very hard to spoof, and also be able to check the information to ensure that the content is actually not altered in any way. So Innov8tif has a product to do this for digital onboarding, and it's known as Amas eKYC. It is a digital ID verification technology to support eKYC processes and identity fraud management in regulated industries. Mimicking a manual verification process, Amas eKYC process goes through 4 steps of verification at the back end, with an optional additional step for further validation. So the customer just have to capture the ID document and a selfie to perform an entire verification. So the whole process can actually be concluded within 45 seconds. It is provided as individual components so that you can actually use it to design a good user onboarding experience for your customer in your app. Let me walk you through a bit on all these components of Amas KYC. So the first component is actually OKID, and this component basically captures the ID document and recognizes what type of ID is this, which country is it from, and be able to OCR or capture all the data from the ID itself, including the details, the photos, the image, and data itself. We support the Southeast Asian identity documents and also the worldwide passports. And we also support NFC as well as chip readers as well. Okay? The next 2 components, OKLive and OKFace, deals in the identification of the face of the person, right? OKLive actually ensures that the object that was captured on a using camera is a live person, is live face. This is to prevent a liveness attack, or even, to a certain extent, deepfake to actually mimic. So we are doing it based on a selfie basis, not a video. So this is how it's done. And OKFace does the facial matching, right? So it matches the photo of the live person to the photo of the ID. And it has a false match rate of 1 in a million. The next component, OKDoc, does document verification. That's where we take a look deeply into the submitted ID document to ensure that it is an authentic ID card and there's no signs of being fraudulent, right? And the last component is actually an OKDB, which actually performs a third-party integration check to ensure that that ID, suffices any regulatory checks and things like that. Yeah. Going deeper into the components itself, so OKID supports the ID documents of Malaysia, Brunei, Cambodia, Hong Kong, Indonesia, and most of the ASEAN countries, and worldwide passports with MRZ. It automatically extracts the ID number, name, photo, and other relevant details on the printed card surface so that you can integrate this data into your application itself. We will also return you a crop photo of the document so that you can actually use it for a live comparison later. So in terms of for passport, e-passports, OKID also support the NFC features. So as long as the passport is an ICAO component compliant passport with e-passport chip, we are able to read it. Whereas in OKLive, it is actually used to prevent spoofing attacks, and we use an AI technology called CNN. So based on this, we will know that the image that is being captured is not from a printed photo, or not taken from a screen, or not created from any kind of software like a deepfake software, or even a printed mask. Whereas OKFace does the facial match between the photo of the selfie as well as the ID. It's also proven to work in multi-ethnic population, even when you're wearing a headscarf and different skin complexion. So here are some of the results of OKFace. It is able to accurately verify faces with age differences for up to 20 years, and also be able to differentiate look-alike faces. It also has a capability to verify partially imperfect photo together with other headgears like a scarf. And in terms of OKDoc to verify the authenticity of a document, there are three key criteria to verify. First of all is visual compliance, where we make sure that we are detecting that whether is it a photocopy, make sure all the landmarks are in place and it's not captured from the screen. And then to the securities feature on all the holograms, if there's any microprints or even optical variable inks. And lastly, content tampering to make sure that all the data, is not tampered. So we also perform font size check, holographic photo comparison, data consistency check, or checksum for some of the other IDs. We are also able to verify worldwide passports using OKDoc. And what we do is we will compare the information that's made available on the visual inspection zone and compare it to the machine readable zone to ensure that it is all accurate. So in a summary, on a Malaysian identity card, there's close to about 30 points that we can actually identify verify in the document itself. Okay. So we also have our patented technology to do microprint detection and also a patent pending hologram detection process. The front, and this is actually on the back of the Malaysian identity card. Whereas the last component is actually OKDB, and it's an optional component. But what it does is it will integrate to external data sources for additional verification. It does so in two ways. First, it can implement an automated robot to query existing online services for the existence of a certain ID and retrieve information from the sites. So maybe it could be voters registration, or it could be your internal systems that has a blacklist or whatever that you can actually log in to actually check, right? The second method is actually to integrate directly to APIs that has been provided by data sources from other organizations, which can include things like AML or CFT checks, sanction lists, blacklists, or even political exposed person. And even to a certain extent, you can even do some kind of credit scoring, depending on what kind of business you are in. Yeah. So in order to get your eKYC implementation right, here are some of the points that I think I would like to share. First of all, we need to select capabilities based on use cases needs by mapping out our customer journey and evaluating where the identity proofing and affirmation tools that can add value, especially in the areas of authentication and fraud detection. We also have to build a business case for investing in improving the identity proofing aspects of the remote onboarding process by leveraging the increased focus on digital transformation, which is currently triggered by the pandemic. We also should create a scalable and flexible identity and proofing and affirmation process by implementing a solution with strong orchestration capabilities so that we can extract away from the complexity of managing multiple vendors and multiple integrations. And lastly, it's very important to treat identity proofing as a form of risk mitigation. Online fraud detection and user authentication activities is same as a key risk to your business. So that basically concludes the part of the eKYC. Let me quickly run through who we are. Innov8tif was established for more than 10 years today. Since 2011, we are on the 10-year anniversary this year. Started in Malaysia, and we have our offices in Singapore and in Indonesia. We operate in all the 10 ASEAN countries with customers there. And in many countries that we do not have our own physical presence, we do have our partners and representatives in those countries supporting them. Key pillars to our business, actually three areas, which is, first of all, most important one, eKYC platform services. We do have a digital local process automation, which we use to actually implement our eKYC journeys for our customers as well. And we do have physical biometric authentication devices that we actually assist our customers. Here is a map of all our customers in this region itself, largely centered in Malaysia. We do have all the largest telcos in Malaysia who's actually using our platform, and some of the financial organizations around ASEAN, from insurance, banking, loans, BNPL, car sharing, and so on and so forth. Last year, we did 3.5 million verifications requests, and we are targeting to do 7 million in 2021. Over the years, we have also won awards from various organizations. The last one being the Star Business Award, which was awarded beginning of this year. We also have several patented as well as patent pending algorithms that's been submitted and in process. We have been certified as ISO 27001 this year for information security management. It's very important because we actually do respect the privacy of our customers when they submit information to us. Therefore, we do not store any of their information. And the latest award that we won was a champion at the Huawei Spark Malaysia Tech Competition. In summary, leveraging AI as a co-worker allows your business to operate around the clock while ensuring fraud is kept at bay. So thank you for your time to attend this session. If you would like to know more about information about how this eKYC tech works and how to implement it within the organization, feel free to email me at joe@innov8tif.com. Yeah. That's all I have. Thank you very much.